Progressive bath. Tile made easy. Welcome to the installation video. This video will run you through the steps needed to get your tile wall installed safely and quickly. A plastic wrapped package contains all of the parts. Materials included in this kit: 1 pack large and small screws, 6 short mounting brackets, 3 long mounting brackets, 2 metal water guards, 3 epoxy adhesive packs, and 1 grout pack. Additional tools needed to complete this job: battery-powered drill with Phillips head, long level, painter's tape, caulking gun, bath and tile caulk, silicone, set of wood shims, bucket of water and sponge, latex gloves, and a second person to help with the panels. You can protect your bathtub by taping around the top of the tub with your painter's tape. Next, unpack the included parts wrapped in plastic. Be careful to not cut into the contents of the package. Make sure you cut on the metal side of the package so you do not damage the contents. Now unpack everything and set it close to the installation area. Installing mounting brackets. Using the long screws, start by screwing your longest mounting track on rear wall horizontally. The first one approximately 2 inches up from bottom. Then one approximately 2 inches down from the top. Then one in the middle of the rear wall. Line up the 2 left and right wall brackets with the rear wall brackets. If a bracket appears loose, then add additional screws either on the top or bottom to secure the bracket to the stud. Once your frame is set, take your metal water guards and screw them directly to your mounting tracks with your short screws. These water guards should not sit directly on the tub. Make sure they rest about a finger's width above the tub. Do a check on the entire frame to make sure all of the frame feels solid with little movement. If something feels loose, add a screw to tighten it up. Dry set. It is very important to do a dry set first. Before mixing the epoxy, you should set all 4 walls in place to check for fit. You should have a second person to help you hold the wall in place while doing a dry set. Always start with the back right wall. Then, fit the left rear wall by fitting the tongue into the right panel and pushing together. Check to make sure the grout lines line up with each other. Next, fit the right and then left walls into place, making sure the hole is centered on the fixture. Make sure the grout lines line up with each other. It may be necessary to shim up some of the walls to make everything even. Look to see how you will need to shim to get the grout lines matched up in this step so you are ready during the final installation. This is also where you will need to make the cutouts for the faucets if needed. Please refer to the instructional guide for further details. Once you have checked that everything fits in properly, you are now ready to install the walls. Remove them and set them aside close to the install area. Mixing the epoxy. You will have approximately 1 hour before the epoxy hardens. Be sure you are ready to go, as once you begin mixing the epoxy, you must complete this next step in a timely manner. Mix only 1 bag at a time, and only apply epoxy onto the wall you are currently working on. Each epoxy bag should be applied within 5 to 10 minutes of mixing. Caution: be careful not to get any epoxy on your hands. It is recommended that latex gloves be used when applying epoxy, and then removed before handling the panels to avoid getting any epoxy on the tile surface. If you do get epoxy on the tiles, wipe off immediately to avoid discoloration of the tile. Open the bag and remove the mix. Pull the separator loose from the first bag and squeeze the bag until you have a solid green. Look for small pockets of unmixed portions and work them into the mix. The whole mixing process should only take a couple minutes and no longer than 3 to 4 minutes. Please note, be careful not to mix the epoxy too long as it may get extremely hot. Once you have a uniform color, you need to bunch up the epoxy into a roll. A good tip is to have a short piece of wood that you can place on your lap. Use a smooth edge of the wood to bunch up the epoxy into 1/2 of the pouch. Now, roll the bag around so it looks like a cake decorator bag. Now take your razor blade and slice the corner edge so that there is a 1/4 inch hole to squeeze the epoxy onto the rail. Apply the epoxy in 2 places on each mounting bracket for 1 panel. The amount applied should be about the size of a quarter around and approximately 1 inch thick, and should be placed in the pre-drilled holes on the mounting brackets. Having 1 inch of epoxy allows for enough adjustment to compensate for the irregularities of the walls. You should run a continuous bead of silicone on the 2 metal water guards. Start at the top and make 1 full motion running to the bottom of the rail. Now you are ready to install the wall panels. Once you begin to install the walls, it is necessary to complete installation of all the walls so that you have time to make adjustments before the epoxy has set. The first panel to install is the right-hand rear wall panel, unit with female tongue and groove. Place the left-hand rear panel with male tongue and groove by joining tongue and groove and then sliding into position with the already installed right rear wall panel. Once you have the back walls installed, confirm that the walls line up with each other by the grout lines. Shim now if needed to line up the rear panel grout lines. At this point, get up on the tub and gently pull back the rear wall and look down inside to make sure you are getting a good bond with the epoxy. Then press the walls back firmly. Install the left and right walls in the same manner. It is extremely important that all of the grout joints line up. If they do not, make sure to shim to get them lined up correctly before the epoxy sets. Also, gently pull back the left and right walls to confirm a good bond and then press firmly back into place. Grout and final touches. Grab your bag of grout and remove the grout bag pull tab from center and squeeze bag continuously until grout is completely mixed with liquid, just in the same manner as you did with the 3 epoxy bags. This should only take a couple of minutes. Cut corner of grout bag. Squeeze into the middle unfinished grout joint of rear wall panels. Make sure to fill any other exposed joint areas. Once you have filled all of the grout joints, take a wet sponge and gently wipe the excess off and wipe the walls clean. Caulking. After removing the protective tape, you can apply a water-soluble latex caulk color of your choice to all exposed outside edges of panels. Also add caulk to interior corners of the panels. Adding caulking around perimeter of assembly may also be beneficial to a good seal. Follow the caulk drying instructions before exposing to water. That's it. Your tub or shower is finished and ready to use once everything has had the proper amount of time to dry. Progressive Bath. Tile made easy.